Why managing stress is the key to male performance. So stress is a hot button issue for men these days, and for good reason, because the way you understand, confront, and respond to stress can make all the difference in the world toward your health and life. So today, I'll clarify what stress is, how it affects your male performance, plus how to manage stress so you can get all the benefits of stress without the drawbacks. So what is stress? Stress is how the body reacts to a challenge. And your body's stress response was designed to be positive. See, when you meet the challenge, your central nervous system releases a flood of hormones to help you rise to the challenge or run from it. These hormones are adrenaline and cortisol. Like you'd expect, when these hormones are released, it creates your body's fight or flight response. You know these stress hormones are being released when your heart pounds faster, your muscles tighten, your blood pressure rises, and you start breathing heavier. Again, this response is meant to be positive. It's designed to help you in dangerous situations. Like if you're running from a predator, you need to protect your family from danger, or even lift a heavy barbell in the gym. Stress only becomes a problem when it lingers for hours, days, weeks at a time, or more. And if you don't learn how to manage it, stress can become self-destructive. It's like the old saying goes, too much of a good thing can turn into a bad thing. So how long does it take before good short-term stress becomes bad long-term stress? Well, there's no exact answer to that question because no two men are exactly the same. But here are some examples of scenarios that may cause bad long-term stress. One, relationship problems at home, feeling pressure at work, sitting in the morning and evening traffic jams, money problems, especially debt, death of a loved one, moving to a new city, watching the news, social media disputes, comparing yourself to others, poor sleep. And all of these factors and factors like them can contribute to long-term stress. And again, when stress goes from being short-term to becoming long-term, it becomes self-destructive. How do you know if you're dealing with chronic long-term stress? Here's some of the general warning signs. Headaches, stomach problems like constipation or diarrhea, muscle tension, neck, back, or chest pain, fatigue, trouble concentrating, anxiety, sadness or depression, social isolation, drug or alcohol abuse, or exercising less. Those are some of the general signs that stress has become a chronic long-term issue for you. And there are specific ways that stress can affect your male health and performance. So what does stress do to male performance? Well, it lowers testosterone. When your stress levels are elevated for long periods of time, your testosterone levels drop. There are two major reasons for why this happens. First, the main reason is the hormone cortisol. It has a direct testosterone suppressing effect inside the brain and the balls. Basically, it's like two kids playing on a seesaw. When the cortisol goes up, testosterone goes down and vice versa. Second, the body uses cholesterol to create cortisol. The body also uses cholesterol to create testosterone. However, when you're stressed, cortisol production becomes the priority. So when cortisol levels are elevated for extended periods of time, the cholesterol that would normally be used to create testosterone is being used to create cortisol instead. Those aren't the only factors. With prolonged stress comes messed up sleep quality, poor food choices, lack of exercise, and increased alcohol consumption, all of which contribute to lower T production. Erectile dysfunction. The other issue you can experience is erectile dysfunction. Getting an erection comes down to blood flow. The problem is stress and anxiety can interrupt how your brain sends messages to your manhood to allow for that extra blood flow. To make matters worse, stress and anxiety about ED can contribute to a cycle of ongoing ED. Basically, stress from work or life events can cause you to experience erectile dysfunction. And then you feel stressed about having erectile dysfunction. And the stress piles up, one on top of another, making it more difficult to perform in bed. Stress can also cause a lack of interest in sex in general. It's hard to get in the mood when you have a lot on your mind. So something as simple as having a bad day at work or a troubled teen at home can get in the way. Another effect of stress is heart disease risk. Have you ever seen those movies where a guy is under so much stress that it causes him to have a heart attack? Well, there's truth to that. Studies show that being high strung for long periods of time is a risk factor for heart disease. The reason is because chronic stress builds up over time. It damages your arteries. It also increases inflammation in the body, which contributes to high blood pressure and bad cholesterol. Another negative impact of stress is low energy. While stress hormones can provide your body with quick bursts of energy and focus when you're lifting heavy weights or giving a presentation at work, It has the opposite effect when you're under chronic long-term stress. It takes a lot out of your body to produce adrenaline and cortisol. Think of it like hitting the speed burst button on a video game. That speed burst is only meant to last for a short amount of time. The same is true of your stress hormones. If your body is constantly trying to pump out adrenaline and cortisol, it's natural that you begin to wear down, feel tired, foggy, and unproductive. Another impact of stress is mood disorders. Mental health has gotten a lot of attention in recent years, and for good reason. We're under a lot of pressure, and feeling stressed over long periods of time can cause feelings of hopelessness and depression. Now, even though I sympathize with you, if you're in a tough spot and it feels like there's no way out, there are some things you can start doing that'll help you learn how to better manage stress and take control of your life. All right, so how to manage stress. You can't remove all the stressors in your life, and even if you could remove all the current ones you have right now, I guarantee that others will come marching in right away to take their place. And that's why even though there are some things you can do to cut out stress, like quit watching the news, staying off social media, and cutting off toxic relationships, at the end of the day, men need to learn how to confront stress head on. And here are some ways to do that. Number one is the most important: exercise. Exercise is a great way to confront stress because when you exercise, you release endorphins and feel-good hormones that make you feel good about yourself and better about your situation. Even something as simple as a walk in nature can do the trick. Training also gives you a sense of control. And it's important to focus on what you can control over what you can't when you're in a season of stress. Second is eat better. I know that when you're stressed, you're more likely to grab junk food, but you need to make the healthy choice. Whole foods contain vitamins and minerals that help you balance your hormones, lower inflammation, improve mood and mental clarity, and keep you healthy, all of which are important in times of stress. At the very least, eating a healthy diet can minimize the damage of a stressful season of life, but eating junk food will only make matters worse. Now, sleep. I understand that when you're stressed, it's harder to sleep. However, there are ways you can overcome stress-related sleep loss, sleep like a baby, regardless of whether you're going through it or not. And that's found in the power of routine. Create a sleep schedule that allows you to get 8 hours of sleep a night, avoid blue light from your phone an hour before bed, wind down by reading or journaling, make sure your bedroom is pitch black, and turn a fan on low to give you white noise. If you do that every night before bed, you should be able to fall asleep regardless of the day's stress. Now, deep breathing. Deep nasal breathing sends signals to your brain to relax. Practice deep breathing in through your nose for 4 seconds and out through your nose for 4 seconds. You can do this at any time throughout the day when you start to feel stressed. When you're stuck in traffic is a great time to practice this. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't magically make your problems go away, but it's a way of sending signals to your brain to relax and release less stress hormones. One of my favorite ways to deal with stress or combat stress head on is to read philosophy. The way you interpret life's events is crucial. Personally, I found that reading Stoic philosophy helps me to focus on what I can control instead of what I can't control. You'd be surprised at how much more in charge you feel when you focus on what you can control. I recommend reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, Letters from a Stoic by Seneca, The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday to get started. I've got a few other book recommendations that I'll put in the description as well. Just click that link and you can head to the site where I've got a long list of books to read. Next is to stay social. When you're stressed, it's so easy to fall into the trap of isolation. If there's ever a time to go hang out with your pals or get a friend on the phone, it's when you're feeling the pressure of life beginning to stack up. If I were to choose between a phone call and a hangout, I'd suggest getting together with friends. You don't need to focus on your problems or make the whole of evening about what you're struggling with. It may be helpful to just kick back and have fun. Plus, no one wants to be around someone who's always talking about their problems. So just have fun. Laughter can be the best medicine when things get tough, especially humans. So bust balls, crack jokes, and have a good time. But there is good wisdom in opening up here and there with what you're struggling with, especially if it's people whose opinion you respect. So make sure you have someone to do that with, whether it's a good buddy who will grab a beer with you and chat, a counselor, there are even some mental health hotlines you can call, or a pastor from your church. Next is a good one. Try adaptogens. There are certain foods in nature that can seem to have been created for exactly the purpose of overcoming stress. They're called adaptogens, and just like the name suggests, they help you adapt to stress. I added a few of the most powerful adaptogens inside our testosterone boosting greens powder, Man Greens. All right, so this is Man Greens, where you get your full doses of adaptogens. So we include full doses in every serving, so you don't have to double dose with anything. And it's completely organic. So for example, studies show that when men take the specific form of ashwagandha that we have in man greens called KSM66, it helps lower cortisol levels, feelings of anxiety and stress, and improve sexual performance, testosterone, and feelings of well-being. You see, adaptogens can have a powerful effect. Man greens also has a bunch of superfoods shown to help improve male performance and health. So it's worth checking out if you want to simply combat stress and feel your best. I use it because it also helps me increase energy without caffeine. So there you have it. That's our video about stress. Stress is something you need to learn to face head on and deal with. It's not something you need to sweep under the rug. It's not something you'll get around to later. You need to be proactive because in today's day, it's becoming the biggest battle men struggle with. So I hope you take on what we talked about today and apply it. And I highly recommend you pick up Man Greens and click the link in the description below to follow that reading list. There's another one I wanted to mention, which was Seeking Wisdom from Darwin to Munger. That's a great book on philosophy that'll help you think correctly and rationally, so you won't stress so much. I hope you liked the video. Click the links in the description below. Talk to you soon.